What's happening, guys? Welcome to another cash game review session. This time we're reviewing Eliot, also known as Your Little Wiener on PokerStars. And it's a 25 Zoom session. He's been playing poker for a couple of years, but only seriously for the last couple of months. I did actually manage to forget to record when we were doing the live stream on Monday. So we actually missed half of it because I can't download it from the Twitch VODs. So there's not actually as much content on it as I wanted. But as usual, there's some decent concepts and stuff in it anyway. So hope you guys enjoy it. Please make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And I will see you guys in the next one. Okay then. So the start of the video. 10-8 suited, we open, and did you say that the call pre-flop was a misclick? I think we have enough equity to call here. It's not like an absolutely terrible call. So I think calling isn't terrible here. We have a reasonable amount of equity with the 10-8 suited. I wouldn't like 4-betting, so I don't know if you were planning on or if you were just playing around with your buttons as you like to do. Anyway, I think it's fine because it's got good playability, and it's got a reasonable amount of... Yeah, so, right, this turn... I don't mind checking because we want to check this card a lot because he has a lot of King X, right? So he can have Ace King, maybe King Queen, stuff like that. Maybe some King 10, King Jacks that might have checked back. What I'd really like is a check raise here. And what he ends up showing is just, you know, perfect reason why. So I'd like to see a check raise. We block Queen 10 and we have an open ender. And this is a card he's going to bluff on a lot, right? So the problem is that when we get to the river here and we miss... we just lose against a lot of hands that just, you know, might fold a turn. When he has ace queen, maybe he's going to call turn, but we could shove river. Ace 10, ace 7 suited, for example, which he has. Pocket 2s, pocket 3s. Like, all of these will just fold on the turn. This is a thing. You say they don't 3-bet enough, so 10-8 isn't a defend. You're making these assumptions. We talked about this in the last video. People make these ridiculous assumptions. They go, it's low stakes, nobody folds. It's low stakes, nobody 3-bet. It's low stakes, nobody bluffs. Chris did this, and then Chris found himself never bluffing at 10 and L. And then when he moved up, he was just bluffing. You should see how much he bluffs. It's ridiculous. Because it just works well, because people will fold. So, and he shows up with a7 suited here. Yeah, agreed, it's better when you know if he's a reg and how wide he's going to 3-bet. But even if they're just 3-betting, you know, quite a linear range, you still have... The guys that are going to only 3-bet, let's say, ace, king, ace, queen, and then like jacks, queens, kings, and aces, they're also going to check a lot on boards where they don't hit. So they're not going to be, you know, triple barrel bluffing with ace, queen on this board, which I think you could definitely do. For what it's worth, on the river here... we have the best bluff. We have literally the best bluff. So if he bets here, I'm going to shove. So what do we want as a bluff on the river, right? 3 things. 1, we want to be low down in our range. 2, we want to block his calling range. And 3, we want to unblock his folding range. How low down are we in our range? We've got fucking 10 high in a 3-bet pot. We're pretty low down. Do we unblock his... do we block his calling range? We block the nuts. And the second nuts. We block all kinds of straights here. We block 7-8 suited and we block Queen 10 suited. Do we unblock his folding range? To an extent, yes. It's not like we block any of his strongest hands, but we do unblock clubs, for example. So we could have ace 10 of clubs, ace 7 of clubs. We don't have clubs. This would be literally my favorite bluff on the river. If I could pick a hand to bluff on this river as a check shove, it would be 10-8 of spades or 10-8 of diamonds. I think 10s is just, again, 10s is shit for a bluff because we're not that low down in our range. This is way better because we're so much further down. I prefer, let's say, a7 suited, ace 10 suited. Ace 10's way better than 10s because then we block ace king as well, and aces. So ace 10 suited is way better. And we're lower down in our range. It's just got, you know, everything. I think that we should raise the turn because, again, this is exactly what I was saying. He shows down with a7 suited, and we're just sat with our dick in our hand, with 10 high against what was a bluff, and we're just like, oh shit. Like, we have probably the equity to call against that hand, especially when you consider, you know, implied odds, but we could have just checked raise and got him to fold that. So I think this turn, I do like that you checked, but I think that even though it's a card that's good for him, you can check raise because it looks so strong as well. 5s, I wouldn't hate a call here if we know we've got fun players in the blinds, go set mining in position. It's a little bit loose, but I don't hate it once, you know, once it's folded to us. Once someone's called and it's folded to us on the button. Queen 9 suited here, I think we could definitely 3-bet on the right. This might actually be a bit loose. Okay, it's loose. Never mind. I wouldn't hate it anyway. You're also deeper as well, so it's 200 big blinds, so the ranges do change for 200 big blinds, and I think a hand like Queen 9 suited would play a little bit better. So I definitely think we could have 3-bet there. Queen 10 suited, I think 3-betting, yep. It's basically pure 3-betting in these positions. Button versus small blinds. Small blind versus button, I should say. So yeah, pure 3-betting all of the suited broadways, as you can see here. So it's always 3-betting all of these hands from the small blind. Remember, BTS doesn't have a calling range from the small blind, and I definitely agree with that. Don't do this, by the way. This is something I see everybody do. And again, your EV in this isn't that much, but clicking this check fold button, what if he limps and the flop is 3-3-3 and then he just min bets? There are spots here where you get to see free flops and you're not doing so. So just don't be clicking that button. I know it saves you like literally less than a second and you're losing EV by doing it. So just don't do it in case you get to see free flops. Right, kings we 3-bet, and I think we can go large on this board. We've got advantage in the overpairs here. But I've noticed you going a third with pretty much your range. I think that when we do, I don't really like going half pot. I think I like going big or small here. Ace turn sucks. Honestly, I can get behind betting here. It works well for protection. We can get called by worse. The problem is players should be check raise bluffing here with some hands like, you know, Queen 10 of hearts, Jack 10 of hearts, but you generally don't see it. So I think there's enough merit when we unblock both nut flush draws, or both king eye flush draws, sorry, to bet the turn. It's a card we're going to bluff on a lot as well, so I think hands like 10s are going to call again. And then we see a really grim river, and the problem is now when he bets, we're in a really weird spot. So I actually think betting the turn with kings is okay, even though it seems so counterintuitive because it's an ace. And now we're just in a really, really horrible spot. I'd be thinking a bit more about this. We unblock flush draws, but oh god, we lose to so much, I guess. You can have 6-7 suited, Jack Queen suited. You can have hands like King Queen, King Jack of hearts, Queen Jack of hearts, Ace 10 of spades, potentially Ace King with a spade. They didn't want to 4-bet. And then when you're looking at bluffs, what's he really going to have? 5-6 suited. Is he really going to bluff a hand like 10 Jack of spades? You generally don't see it all that much. I think folding's, yeah. If it was the 10 of diamonds, I'd be more inclined to call because, you know, there's 2 flush draws that missed. But he has a lot here for value and honestly not really that many bluffs. So I think that, yeah, folding is okay. But honestly, I don't mind betting the turn. And I know that seems, you know, it seems really difficult to do. Like, oh, it's an ace. What am I going to get called by that's worse? Because when we're value betting, we need to have worse hands to call. And also, if we get check raised by a bluff, then, you know, we get thrown off our hand and we're going to have the best hands. So, but I wouldn't hate bet folding the turn, to be honest. So dirty here. Honestly, against that size, I'm fine folding jacks here. Very okay with it. I'm glad you didn't cold call because there's 2 players left to act that have put money into the pot. He's probably not going to be that strong. The problem is if we cold call, he could shove and then he could reshove. I think jacks here is a fold. I really like this fold. Especially versus that massive sizing. It feels like it's going to be ace king, but I think folding jacks here is absolutely fine. Ace king, we're going for a 3-bet. I think sizing's okay. And I'm just sticking it in here. Are we going to look for 4-bet stats? Don't even bother. 660 hands. Honestly, because of how little you get into spots where you can even 4-bet in 60 hands, you're going to need well over 1,000 hands before you can make any sense of it. Well over 1,000. Just shoving here, and if he's got it, good luck to him, note him, and maybe not stack off again. Ace King suited, just an easy stack off in this spot. And he 4-bet folds. Insta note that somebody 4-bet folds because you don't see it all that often at these stakes. So that is something very, very useful that you can note. Because then the next time you have a spot like that with Ace King, there are some opponents I would literally fold Ace King to them. King 9 suited open, yeah, and I think a fold versus, that makes sense. Jack 9 a bit of a loose defend here, so this is versus middle position. So Jack 9 off is just pure folding here versus earlier positions. We're a little bit deeper, maybe we could make argument for it, but I think just the suited variants just make much better playable hands here. I would check raise this a lot. I'm actually check raising versus this size, but when we have Jack 9 suited of one of these suits, it's just a million times better because there's so many turns we can continue on. I do think, though, that if we are defending the offsuit ones, then check raising is fine on this board. The 6-7 suited, we can definitely 3-bet. Gin card on the turn, I should say. I'm just going to be betting here and then betting river. He does have ace jack here, which would suck. It's also the problem with defending that these kind of hands from earlier positions, they have the ones that dominate us. But definitely just betting here and going for a large size on river. He definitely has hands like ace king, king queen, king king, king 10 suited. Ooh, nasty river. Honestly, I'm probably just betting this river and folding to a raise most often. It gets interesting what kind of size you want to use here, because this gives him opportunity to bluff. So what I would be doing here, if I'm going to pick a small size in with Jack 9, which I think is fine, by the way, then I'm going to balance that, especially if I'm against, you know, decent opponents, by betting some full houses like this as well. So we definitely have Queen 10 and pocket 3s. So I think I'm going to go a small size with some of those as well. It's kind of annoying because I always found that, you know, like if he has a hand like Queen Jack here, then he just gets to just shove and win. Because I'd be bet folding Jack 9 because we do have full houses and we do have Ace Jack as well. But again, the problem is it's trying to find that balance of who's actually going to bluff in these spots and that. I'd like to see what a solver would do here. Probably bet small. Maybe even check calling is okay. And he does fold anyway versus a smaller size. But I think he played that fine. Sixes here, what happened? Again, I wouldn't hate a squeeze. Similar to that King Jack spot earlier, this hand doesn't play that well. It'd be very loose in general. But I honestly think that we could squeeze sixes here. So this is a board that maybe even three-way we could lead because this is a really good board for us. But I wouldn't get into donk leading on flops from big blind. You can generally not do it at all. I think I'm okay betting this turn. I think I'd like to bet this turn. So we can bet as almost a semi-bluff of the 6, but more so than that, we want to protect our hand here, and we can get value from some worse hands. Every card is bad apart from a 3 or a 6, and a 6 isn't even like, you know, a nutted card. So I definitely think we could have bet the turn here, because then we're just losing the hand otherwise, because we're probably check folding. I could even get behind a call here with his line, but he's just going to have a load of Jack X, so it's just annoying. Yeah, I definitely think leading the turn is fine. Yeah, he bluffed there, but, you know, we're against 4 other cards. He can easily have Jack X here, so... Nope, sizing terrible here because there's a limper. We want to raise bigger. So I'd be 4xing here. 3x's are fine. 4x is okay as well, I think. Just want to be going bigger here. Don't do this size when there's already a limper. There's more money in the pot. Make sure you make this bigger. This is definitely a mistake. If you didn't see the limper, then Eliot, that's because you weren't paying enough attention. Now, why were you not paying enough attention? This is poker. You're playing for money. Stay focused. If you need to take a break, go and take a 5-minute break. The tables are still going to be there. Sit out next big blind. It'll then put you in the big blind. Stay focused when you're playing. How do you not see a limper? How do you not see him put money in the pot? I've been guilty of it as well. Don't get me wrong. Right, did we go for a 3-bet here with the ace-2 suited? Because I'm definitely okay with it. Yeah, and versus a min-raise, it's interesting. We're actually getting a better price on a call. So I'm actually more inclined to call versus a min-raise. And more inclined to 3-bet versus a 3x. But I think either is fine here. Interesting board. I don't hate betting, even though this is a board we wanna check back. Anyway, 6s, check back, fold, get rid of it. That's fine. I'm calling this turn here with the ace deuce because we still have a gut shot, even though it's shit. But more often than that, we still have the best hand here with ace high sometimes. And versus that size, we can still hit an ace when we don't. We can hit a 4 most of the time. So yeah, I think we should have called that turn. But I also think betting the flop is okay, even though it's a board we do want to check a lot. So you do have a reasonable understanding of, you know, ranges and range advantages and stuff like that, so you recognize what boards we should be checking out. 10-jack suited, very easy call to a 3-bet here versus a fun player, and we have an easy continue on the flop. Nice sizing. I don't think we want to do much raising here. Maybe if we are going to raise a 10, we'd want to have the backdoor flush draw as well, just for a little bit more equity. But I think we can just call. It doesn't really work much for value, just mainly for protection. We turn a 10 on the turn, and I'm just going to bet 3/4 pot and then shove the river here. That's what you should do. Okay. I don't hate letting go of Queen 10 suited on the left. Yeah, I like it. So again, against a fun player, when we're against fun players, I think generally we just want to bet strong with our good hands, stuff like that. If I'm against more regular opponents, I might bet this for a small size on the turn. The good thing about this turn is we have more 10x than he does, right? So I would be betting here with some 10x, but I'd also want to be betting hands like 7s, 8s, maybe like ace-4 suited for protection. Okay, I'm going to check that back as well, but we want some protection, so we can balance that by betting small with our 10x, with our full houses, and with some weaker hands as well. So that way we can't get exploited that we only bet big with a 10 and we bet small with a kind of showdown hand. So I like that you might be going small for that reason, because we can just balance our range. But against a fun player, put more money in. We want the stack to pot to be about 1 by the river. When he calls, it's going to be 1.5 or whatever it is. Just bet bigger and shove river. Now you're probably going to shove river anyway, and now you're shoving over pot. It's actually a bad river in the way that we're going to have some backdoor flushes. I honestly like a small sizing now, but if we'd have got less than pot, I would have only had a shove anyway. But I don't mind going for a small size in here. I'm probably going, yeah, probably going about this, trying to target like aces and stuff. He's going to check jam a flush anyway, one would assume, so. I might even go even smaller, maybe in juice. Maybe just check jam something as a bluff randomly. Be interesting to see what he's got. Anyway, we should bet that turn bigger against a fun player. He's never going to fold hands like aces and stuff anyway. So we don't need to worry about that. If he's got a bet of 10, good luck to him. Bet $5 on this turn. And then the pot is then $4 bigger. So it's $14 and he's got 2 less. So he has literally basically pot behind if you just bet $5 here. I assume you saw what he had, which was pocket 9, so he's a bit stationed. And anyway, maybe he folds. It's a bad run out. He shouldn't be calling that because we just have a load of backdoor flushes as well. Like, we don't really have that many bluffs because a lot of our bluffs are going to, you know, we might float something like king, queen of hearts on the flop and bet the turn, and then we just get there in the river. So you do play kind of the same. When you're against big fish and stations and stuff like that, you know, this guy's got 31% VPIP and, again, only a small amount of hands. But, yeah, just go for him. Now you've got him tagged as a station as well. You changed it. Just go for him. Just bet bigger. When you see, honestly, when you see the fun player tag and the reg tag, you can just have 2 different styles. Again, I do want to try and talk about theory-based, and so I think theory-based, you know, you played it okay. Maybe go for a smaller bet on the river or something. Yeah, when you're at these stakes playing against fun players, just bet big, man. I'm interested to see what it says here for ranges, because 7s might, I know it's a fold in these positions versus under the gun. So let's see what Bluff the Spot recommends here. So this is cut off versus middle position. Yeah, it's 3-betting half the time. So this, so if something is 3-betting like half the time, especially if you use solve ranges and such, if it's 3-betting sometimes and folding sometimes, it means that the EV of 3-betting is similar, if not the same, to the EV of folding. The reason being, if it was high EV, if it was way higher EV to 3-bet than it was to fold, it would just always be 3-betting. So for that reason, these kind of hands just aren't really that good. We just want to have these kind of hands so we have more coverage on boards. Like 6-7 suited, for example, we want to be 3-betting it so we have that coverage on the middle in boards so we don't just have, you know, pairs and high cards. So this is, technically speaking, a bit of a loose 3-bet. I think these are definitely fine at lower stakes because people are going to overfold. So I definitely like it. You understand when you should be checking a lot. So you know that this is a board you want to check a lot, but then you're still just betting with your good hands and checking your bad hands. So you're not going to get exploited for that much. But I do think that when we're deeper, we want to have more bets anyway. So I'm definitely going to bet this flop. I'm probably going for a bigger size again because we have an advantage in the overpairs. But this is a board that, again, against the reg, I'm very happy to check this one back here against a solid player. Honestly, I'm just 3-betting this. I'd like to see a 3-bet. Make it like $8 or something. And again, we've seen this from you where you're like unsure about, you know, what you're doing. I make it a little bit bigger because you want to make our bluffs bigger. That is a disaster turn. I'm probably just betting very small and Psy calling off here. He still has 4s and 3s. I get what you're doing here. You're just going to check and then call river. I'd probably just be back calling off, especially with the 7 of spades. And I guess we have to go for a river bet here. It's unlikely he's going to have a flush with this line, one would assume. The thing is, what are we actually getting called by? It's kind of weird. I think I just go really small here. Because like with his check, with his raise and then call on the flop, he's going to have some overpairs. But like overpairs like 8s and 9s and 10s. It's actually very hard to get called by a worse hand. I think he's just going to either snap call like 5-6 suited or he's just going to snap fold. Let's go back on it. So again, against a possible fun player, I think this is going to be a 3-bet on the flop. The reason being we have top set. We want to get the money in against 4s or 3s here before the board gets worse, right? So many bad turn cards. Any spade, any 5, any 6. So we want to get the money in if he has those hands. I'd be going a little bit bigger to balance it with my bluffs. And my best bluffs here are going to be ace-5 of spades, ace-6 of spades, stuff like that. Ace-5 of spades, I'd be 3-betting here and just getting it in because we have a ton of equity. We also block the nuts. And then obviously we can 3-bet 5-6 suited and 7s here. So yeah, I think I like this, but I'd go a little bit bigger. And honestly on the turn, like I say, I think I'm just betting small and calling off. We still have good equity against flushes anyway, or reasonable equity against flushes. Given that the stack to pot is only 1, less than 1.5, and again, if we'd have gone a little bit bigger on the flop with the 3-bet, then, or even with the flop c-bet, then we'd have less and we could just get it in. Having the 7 of spades is quite important as well because you can't have 7x of spades, which is a hand that might check raise and then peel a 3-bet. So we do block some flushes there, and even if he has, you know, 5-6 of spades, we can then hit a spade as well. So we've got even greater equity. So I think I'd like to bet really small with a lot of our range on this turn because we're also going to want to bet flushes as well, right? So I think I just bet small. As played, I think it's fine, but I think we want to bet really small on the river. You don't seem to be making mistakes. I think we should definitely 3-bet here. So we're just deeper, and these hands just play better deeper. We're 200 big blinds deep with 6-7 suited. If we looked at ranges for 3-betting with 200 big blinds, we could probably 3-bet call that because of just how it plays in position. I do overvalue. You said before though that you overvalue suited connectors, but that was in a way where you peel the 3-bet with them. Why not 3-bet and take the initiative when you're deeper? I really think that you should be 3-betting that. It's up to you if you reset stacks. I think as you get better and as you improve, you don't want to reset stacks because you want to play deep with fun players. I think when you're learning though, it makes sense because ranges do change. What I'd recommend actually, guys, is having a look. See if you can find some 200 big blind sold ranges around online somewhere. And just note the differences between 100 big blinds and 200 big blinds. Sevens here, I think, honestly, I probably want to bet 3-way. So again, it comes down to when we're multi-way, we're a bit more honest. But it does mean that we can just protect our hand and get folds. We also have the 7 of diamonds, meaning we have backdoor flush draws. Problem is when we check, we see, you know, an ace or a king or a queen or a 10 or a 9, and we just fold. And now we just have to check here because it doesn't make sense to bluff. And now we are playing the board. I'd fold this queen 10 suited. He's not playing a full stack. I like that. The 10-7 suited, I'm okay with the c-bet. I don't even mind going big here with just such a trash hand and then just giving up. Maybe barreling on, you know, a jack or a queen on the turn. I think you've got a reasonable understanding. You know, there's nothing that's been thrown out there where you've been terrible. The only thing you work on is multi-way spots, but multi-way spots come down more to intuition because they're not solved, and you know, most of the time you're going to be against fun players. The reason why we 3-bet is to avoid going 3-way a lot. So, okie dokie. King Jack suited, we can do either or. We can call or we can 4-bet. And deeper, I wouldn't mind a 4-bet here. I really like 4-betting deep, but I don't expect players to 4-bet because, you know, when they're very deep, because you're going to get into some tough spots out of position. So I think calling is absolutely fine. Already hating it with sizings and stuff. We have a pretty easy continue. I think raising's a bit too thin given they have the advantage, and all it really does is work as protection. Don't bother getting that up. 24 hands, completely irrelevant. People overvalue HUDs when there's like no hands. This isn't going to tell you anything. Absolutely nothing. It's 24 hands. And a grim turn here with the King Jack. I think we can just probably check fold. It is a card he's going to bluff on a lot. We could probably call, actually. We do have better hands. We're going to have some, you know, hands like Ace Jack suited, stuff like that. I might call the turn here. It's kind of annoying. It's a card he's going to bluff on. We unblock the flush draws. When he has hands like, you know, Queen 10 suited, 9 10 suited, 7 9 suited, 6 7 suited, he's always going to barrel there. I think we should call this King Jack twice and then decide on the river. And I know that nobody wants to do it because it's a really good card for him and it fucking sucks, but we have second pair top kicker and there's just so many draws and stuff which we unblock that I think that we can probably call. Ace 5 suited, right, again, so earlier on you didn't 3-bet Ace 5 suited when you were deeper, and this time you 3-bet an Ace 5 suited in the exact same position. Again, this is probably going to come down to what I say all the fucking time, which is make sure you stay focused. There's no reason why you've 3-bet this one and not the other one. For example, if you knew this guy was a fish or folded to 3-bet a lot, which you don't because you've got 10 hands, you could have 3-bet this for a specific reason and folded the other one for a specific reason. You haven't. So that shows to me that because you've 3-bet once and 3-bet and not 3-bet the other time, when as far as, you know, the BTS ranges are concerned, this is 100% 3-bet, that you're not paying enough attention or that you're not focused enough, you know, with these more marginal hands and such. That maybe the last one you just saw, oh, there's a raised fold. So again, guys, make sure you stay focused. If there's a reason for doing it, or if it's, you know, 50-50, bottom versus middle position, it's going to 3-bet this 100% of the time. But again, it is one of those lower EV ones, so I can get behind folding sometimes, especially if you think you're going to get 4-bet a lot or whatever. But just the fact that you've done it once with, not even like your favour suits, it was with Ace King of Spades last time and he folded, so just make sure you're staying focused. Queen Jack is towards the bottom of the range that we're defending. Without a club, I'm just check folding versus half pot here. Again, this is a marginal 3-bet. We discussed this earlier, the 7s here. It's not actually 3-betting 100% of the time. And yeah, the only card we can ever continue on is a king here, whereas when we have a club, let's say we have the queen of clubs, turn could come the 6 of clubs and we can check raise with the second nut flush blocker. So we'd turn the second nut flush draw, but we'd also block some flushes and can credibly have flushes, so we could check raise. Big 3-bet, but with the queen 10 suited, I think we should be defending. What I will say, again from an exploitative point of view, is when you see 3-bets here, especially under the gun and middle position, but to some extent the cutoff, and we see a 3-bet from the big blind even at stakes up to 100, don't tend to 3-bet that wide. Like, they tend to just 3-bet very, very narrow and just for value. They don't tend to have as many bluffs as they should. Again, this is an assumption that, you know, I say don't make these ridiculous assumptions, but it's just something I've found that even some, mainly the tighter regs. The reason being is when you're in the big blind, if you actually think about when you're in the big blind and you have a hand like ace-5 suited, jack-9 suited, king-10 suited, stuff like that, and you see a raise from, you know, the earlier middle positions, even 6-7 suited, 5-6 suited, you just think, okay, getting a good price, just call. You call and you see a flop, right? So you tend not to 3-bet those hands. And I think it's just like human intuition that you don't really 3-bet them. Yeah, so what I will say is that players tend to be dead tight. So I wouldn't go calling all kinds of... Honestly, queen 10 suited you could probably fold. Queen jack suited, 10 jack suited, I think we just have to call, but I think you could honestly fold this hand. Easy call on the flop. Interesting what we want to do here. I guess betting's okay, because we do block ace queen, ace 10 suited, king queen suited. We also block queens and 10s, which are kind of hands that we want them to have. I don't hate betting and then potentially barreling on some rivers here. Really, really kind of an annoying one, because he's just got advantage here and we don't actually block the strongest hands, which is aces and kings. Wouldn't surprise me to get like check min raised here, or check jammed on. Yeah, I think we can just check. So the thing is as well, when we have a king, what are we really representing here, like for value, when we bet this turn? When we have a king, we're going to want to check back. Maybe we have like ace-5 of spades, but we're going to want to check back. We might have ace-king here, and we're going to have pocket 9s. But other than that, there's a lot of hands we want to check back with. So I might check this back and then potentially even bluff rivers. But it doesn't surprise me that he check raises you on this turn. I think people just need to be patient. I think you need to not try and rush and be like, oh yeah, I want to beat these stakes. I want to be crushing 1 KNL within a month. Like, poker is so hard these days. The reason why like a lot of the big players are big players now is they got the money in good. When poker was easy 10, 15 years ago, why do you think I still play poker? If I got into poker and it was this hard, no way would I be playing it now. No fucking way would I be playing it. It's only because I loved the game and I started crushing years ago. Not crushing, but was winning years ago because it was just so fucking easy. So a6, we open blind on blind, which I think is okay. Again, if I'm against really aggressive regs, I might actually just be folding here. I like the check. I think I like the check on this board. We want to have a reasonable amount of checks. Betting's also okay. There's a lot we can get called by. 10 on the turn, I think we can go either way. There's a lot we can get called by now, so I think I want to put some money in. Half pot seems okay to me. And again, river, I think we can go either way. I think mainly we want to bet. I might go for a bigger size here than half pot. Half pot always seems like value. I bet you we won't find a spot in here where you bet half pot as a bluff. Half pot always seems like value. I don't think enough players pick up on it, but it just feels really, really value-y when you do it. Jack 4 suited, yep, we can open BVB. And the ace 8 suited, we can open under the gun. I think I like betting this board with pretty much my range here on the left. We have advantage here. Probably checking turn and potentially bluffing some rivers. Pretty solid flop on the right. I do like your aggression here that you're going for a bluff on the left-hand side. It'd be interesting to see what you're doing on the right-hand side. The problem with this is that we may be bluffing a bit too much here. I would be continuing on a queen, on an ace, on a diamond. Any card where we pick up equity. But we don't really pick up anything with this. We don't really block that many hands. It also brings in a heart flush draw, so we can have some 10x of hearts, ace-x of hearts that continues. So I'm not really sure about the double, and then you're just kind of in a weird spot here where we go for an overbet. I don't love it. Just I'd prefer to do it on cards where we just definitely hit better hands and such, right? I'd prefer to do it on a queen or an ace where we have straights and such, even a 9 where we have queen jack. So if we're going to do that, we might as well utilize our jack blocker. I do like the fact you're being quite aggressive, but I just think that we have better hands to do this with. You know, on the turn where we might pick up some more equity. I don't hate it though. I do like that you actually went for a river barrel, so I'm okay with that. But yeah, I think we maybe should have just given up on the turn. Okay, the ace 8 suited. So this is very similar to what Chris did. Flopped the nuts and then was like, oh shit, check. So again, from a theory point of view here, we want to be checking this board a lot, right? This is a board we want to be careful on because we're going to have a lot of 1 pairs. We're going to have some nothings, some just, you know, high cards. So we're not going to go too nuts on this board. So I don't hate checking from a theory point of view, but it looks like, I mean, obviously it's not enough hands here from him, but he's playing possibly fishy. I think we can just bet large on the flop or go for a check raise, which I wouldn't have hated. I think I want to check raise this turn now though. because 6x and some random bluffs are always betting. I think I might go for the check raise here. The problem is as well is, okay, I'm definitely going for a check raise on this river here. Again, I notice you do this overbet. At least you are balancing the overbets. You obviously overbet on the left as a bluff, and you're going to overbet here for value. But I think that check raising works better here, or in fact, no, this size is fine because we can get called by 6x. But that's why I think check raising's better. I think he's going to bet his 6x. I guess he could have like the king of diamonds here, king jack with the king of diamonds. But I might just go smaller if we're targeting that. I think that we should maybe just bet the flop here. The thing is as well is occasionally you're going to get, you know, them having a worse flush or a set or something, and the board's just going to run out a bit nasty. So I think just betting against presumed fun players, seeing as they both just flattered as well and they didn't 3-bet, most likely fun players. So I think maybe just betting flop would have been better. I'd like a check raise on the river, but king jack, was this limped? I think we should ISO, we should raise here with the king jack versus a limp. It's just a pretty solid hand. We can put more money in, sometimes even take it down pre-flop. I think that king jack is just good enough for a raise here. We can even 3-bet this sometimes versus a button open. So if we're 3-betting sometimes, we should just definitely be raising, I think. I think that's a little bit tight. The ace-5, I like the 3-bet. I'm going to 3-bet sometimes and call sometimes with these hands. The ace-2 through to ace-5. And no need to bluff this king jack here. Absolutely no need to do it. Right. Good. We have the nut nothing here. I think it just like makes sense as a check, and probably even check calling. I bet you would calls if you bet that with deuces. King 9 suited here. I honestly don't hate calling given the equity that we have. No, sorry. I don't hate calling because we're deeper here and it just plays a little bit better deeper. So if I look at the ranges I've got for defending to 3-bet. Middle position versus blinds. King 9 suited. Okay, so it's using it as a 4-bet here. And only a little bit of the time. So it's 4-betting, you know, just under half the time, which I think makes sense. So I wouldn't hate a 4-bet with this hand. So a lot of 4-bet bluffs tend to come down to hands that don't feel good enough to call but seem too good to fold, right? So like king 9 suited feels not quite good enough to call but almost too good to fold. That's the way I'd see it anyway. It's also obviously 4-betting a bit of king jack suited, which we can always call, but it's just because that we're not having that many. The darker color is the 4-bet hands. We don't have a lot of 4-bets really. When we're out of position, we're going to be actually 4-betting a bit more, so we're 4-betting a bit more of these, you know, king 10, king jack suited as bluffs, a little bit of 6, 7 suited. Yeah, for some reason it's got king, but so cut off versus button, we can call king 9 suited, for example, when we're out of position. So, you know, if this is 4-betting a little bit, it's not going to be that bad. But the reason why I think that we can call here a bit more often is because that we are deeper. We're 200 big blinds deep here and in position. It's not like we're just going to lose 200 big blinds on a king 5 deuce board. So, you know, we have a suited king which just plays really well in position. So I think we could call it. I do like that we're squeezing here with the 10 jack suited. Size, I think, is maybe a little big, but 14 big blinds. I guess it's okay. Yeah, I guess it's okay out of the small blind. I think it's fine. I would like to see you play in big blinds, though, like I say, Eliot, because that's just going to be easier as you're moving up. And if you do another review session with me, it's going to be easier for me as well. Ace-8, easy call in easy call. I don't think we want to do much on this board other than call. And I like checking this a reasonable amount. This ace-8 here just allows him to have bluffs on the river. He can also definitely have a lot of better ace-x here. And we just have a very easy call on the river unless he just blasts like 7x pot or something. And I think we go for value now. What I would do here, because I'm playing hands like ace-8 this way, I'm also going to play some, you know, hands like 5-6 suited this way. So, or let's say, for example, even like king 10, where we call because we might have the best hand. If we decide to turn that into a bluff, I'm going to do that sometimes because we have a lot of ace-x. So we can definitely balance this. I think I go a smaller size, though, as I would with bluffs as well. We got 3-bet with the 8-9 suited. Solvers don't like 8-9 suited for 3-bets. I think it's because we have reverse implied odds when it comes 10-jack-queen, because we have a straight. Later positions, I think it's fine. Again, if we look at, so this is what, middle position versus cutoff. It is pure folding the 8-9 suited here, but then, you know, calling and 4-betting these lower ones. Actually, cutoff versus blinds is the same. It's just cutoff versus button. We're even folding a little bit then. So solvers do really dislike the 8-9 suited. So I tend to just veer away from it. It also makes it easier to not overcall. So if you're always folding the 8-9 suited, you know, there's at least 4 combos of the suited connectors that we're folding, so we're not overcalling with our suited connectors. Check call pretty standard. Turn protects us here, so we don't mind seeing this turn. Half pot's annoying. It does feel very indicative of value in these spots. Not always, but I always feel as though he's going to check back river a lot here when he bets half pot on the turn with like aces, kings, or queens. Getting 3-1 is kind of annoying. I actually prefer if he bets bigger because it's more likely he's going to have bluffs like king queen, because this is a card he's going to want to check a reasonable amount on. So honestly, I think going either way here is fine. I think like theory wise we want to be calling, but like he checks back the river with like, you know, queens so often. It's just so sick. It's easier if you have a, you know, a bit more hands on him as well. So the king 8 here, I'm probably throwing out a c-bet. We block some of the bluffs he can have, so we're less likely to get check raised, like 10-8, jack-8 suited, stuff like that. Again, I don't mind that you're double barreling, because when we spoke with Chris about this, he was double barreling a lot because it worked a lot on turns. So he was barreling a lot on turns and it just worked an awful amount. So his red line was really good because he just kept getting folds on turns. So even though from a theory point of view, I'm probably not betting this king 8, I think that from an exploitative point of view, it's okay. I wouldn't go for an overbet here because I'm not overbetting anything. Like, what do we have here for value? Like 7x, yeah, but I wouldn't be overbetting a 7 because of what we're trying to get to call. I do like your aggression though. I think we can go 3/4, maybe even pot. We want to overbet where we have very clear range advantage when they have hands when we have hands they don't. So for example, an ace king deuce board or ace king 4 board where, you know, we have aces, kings and ace king and they just don't. Like, they're the kind of boards we want to overbet, you know, as bluffs and as, you know, for value. Honestly, just letting go with the 6-7 suited here once we've been squeezed, because we're going to be out of position because the button's just going to get an amazing price here and probably just call a lot. So I think just folding here. This is a problem with 100 big blind cash games. It's not really deep enough to be having fun. Like, it's honestly not. Live poker's so much better when you can sit like 500 big blinds deep and just fuck about. I just think we have to fold here. I think, you know, from a theory point of view as well, we do want a little bit of this kind of hand as a 4-bet. So if we were looking at the 4-bet hands, it is 4-betting, you know, a little bit of 6-7 suited, just because, you know, we want to have more coverage on certain boards, but just 100 big blind, it just doesn't work well enough at 100 big blinds, I don't think. So out of position, sorry, they're just going to be shoving. So you might as well have a hand like ace 5 or king queen, where you at least block some of their jamming range. King 10 suited, very interesting one if you're going to go for the squeeze here. Kind of annoying with his stack. I think we can just squeeze and just get it in. I think squeezing's going to be making enough money here that we can squeeze and just get it in versus his, you know, 40 big blinds. I like it. So what size are we going for? This is 10. 14 is this? I think we can go maybe a little bit bigger. And we have to call here. I hope you realise that we have to call her. I assume so, seeing as you haven't folded yet. And obviously we don't like it. No. Oh, no, 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 no. No. We can't waste this much equity. We cannot do it. I'm going to get my old trusty poker stove out and show you why we can't fold here. We should have made this a little bit bigger as well. This is actually probably relatively close. In fact, it's not because of what fish are actually going to shove. So, when we are in spots like this, we have to look at what price we're getting. We're getting nearly 2-to-1. Let's assume this is $18 and this is $9, which we're not far off. We're getting 2-to-1. If we're getting 2-to-1, we need 33% equity. So we have, this is a really old piece of software, by the way, but I just do it. So we need 33%. Pre-flop, what's he going to have here? In my opinion, this is what I'm going to give him, because I've seen people jam as low as this. This is what the equity that King 10 suited has against his range if we assume he's shoving 7s plus. That's assuming he's not shoving any random nonsense as well, like ace 5 suited and stuff, and, you know, 10 jack suited. That's giving him a pretty reasonable range that I've seen fish shove with. Like, I've seen him do it as 6s and stuff like that as well. We have 36% equity against that range. And that's obviously, that's included aces, kings, queens, stuff like that. Even if you give him a tight range, it's still going to be like 30%. 31%. So even if he's a nit, you know, we still near enough getting the right price. So, and I think we should have made this a little bit bigger, although I guess it's fine actually. But you have to realize that this is something that a lot of people don't take into account, right? It doesn't matter about whether you feel comfortable or not. You basically, if you're saying you don't feel comfortable about it, right? Let's go back to, you know, the range that we gave him. I don't give a shit if you feel comfortable or not. The maths says you should call, right? Maths is you know, not sound like a dick. I don't care if you're comfortable or not. Maths. You should be playing within your means. You should be playing within your bankroll. If you're not comfortable doing it, you've got to ask the question why. Why are you not comfortable doing it? Maths. Literally says do it. And you're like, no, I don't feel comfortable doing it. In the long run, you should do it. If you're uncomfortable with it, you've got to ask yourself, are you playing outside of your role? I've played outside of my bankroll loads of times, and it scared the shit out of me. The point of this is maths. I get what you're saying, that you don't want to do it, but this literally just says it is profitable to click that call button, and you're saying I don't want to do it because I don't want to. The thing is, what you should have been wary about in this hand, it's an interesting hand, this one, so what you should have been wary about is that he gets to shove not mega wide, but reasonably wide in this spot. If I am squeezing here, I am looking around at the stacks and I'm realizing, so when I even said at the start of this hand, I said, I'm okay, you know, squeeze getting it in here. And then as soon as I've squeezed, I know when he shoves, I already know I'm getting the right price to call. I don't need to work it out. I already know in my head, this is from, you know, 10 years of playing, that when I squeeze and he shoves, I then have to call. I already know I'm getting the right price against his range with this hand. So I already know once I've squeezed that I'm going to be calling. So definitely a bit of a misstep here. I get why, you know, don't get me wrong, it's intuition. You know you're not ahead here. Like, so often you're dominated. You know, if we're against specifically what? Queens. If he showed his hand and he had queens, let me have a look. All right, 32%. I'm a gambler, so we'll call that 33%, even though it's slightly off. But so we have 33% against pocket queens. So let's say we'd made this $4 and he shoves, we'll be getting a slightly better price. So if I make it $4 and he somehow accidentally exposes his cards and shows queens, I look at my king 10 and I go, okay, call. Doesn't matter that he's got the best hand. Maths literally says that it's going to make money. Ace-8 suited here, just going to be calling, I think, especially versus a 3x. I wouldn't like a 3-bet, but you just click your random button, so we have no idea if you're 3-betting or not. So, let's go back here to the bluff the spot ranges. Okay. Okay, it's 3-betting. I didn't think it was 3-betting the ace-8 suited, so it's 3-betting sometimes. Again, just to simplify this, at lower stakes, I pretty much would just 3-bet ace-10 suited plus, call these ones, and then 3-bet these ones. And then it's very, very similar. So I think it's fine. I generally wouldn't 3-bet the ace-8 suited, but it's good to see that you do it, and it is, you know, it is an okay 3-bet. Okay, Queen Jack will be 3-bet here. Ooh, he's gone for the 4 and a bit X. This is, ooh. Right, this is dirty. I'm not even sure about the 3-bet. I honestly think I'm okay calling here. Now, I know we mainly want a 3-bet, right? But such a big size. Against a lot of players, I've seen it be just big hands. In a way, we're getting a worse price on a call, so we want to be 3-betting rather than calling, but it surprises me that you don't get 4-bet here, to be honest. I'm okay with the sizing because we don't want to go too big here, so I think that's fine. And I'm probably just checking this flop. So I don't hate the 3-bet. I think I just prefer calling when we're in the cutoff. I'm okay checking this back. This is still going to hit him a reasonable amount when he does that. The thing is, when we're ahead, we're so far ahead, he's going to have like deuces to 7s. And then when we're behind, he could have like ace-queen, he could have king-queen, queen-9 suited, although that's unlikely. So I think I like just checking this one back here when he still does have some strong hands. The turn's interesting. I think I want to check back a lot on this turn. Now, it kind of sucks. We're going for a 4-bet here with the ace-queen. Okay, I like the 4-bet, and I really like it. Let's see what the sizing was. I think the sizing was a little bit too big. So he makes it 9 big blinds, and we make it, what do we make it here? 24 big blinds. It's not too bad. 9, 24. I think I go a little bit smaller. Maybe it's fine because we're out of position, because we're a little bit deeper. I think this is okay. So when we're playing, what I've noticed from newer players, and this was, I used to do this a lot as well. I was very guilty of this. Making my sizes too big. My 3-bet sizes and my 4-bet sizes. My 4-bet sizes especially. I think that if we're 100 big blinds deep, going 24 big blinds is a little bit too big. But because we're deeper, I don't hate the size. And I like the fact that we have some 4-bet bluffs as well. I don't think it's going to be, you know, I think you want to pick your opponents and pick your spots and pick your hands. Ace-queen works well. Could definitely see you've been studying the pre-flop Bible. But yeah, I like this. And I like this check on this turn as well. And then we just have the easy... it's a call. He's got a flush. He's got pocket 6s, so he's an idiot. But okay, so the turn, we're going to want to check a lot. I also think we can check back flushes here as well. And for what it's worth, his river bluff wouldn't be that terrible, but the check call on the flop obviously is. So this is what I mean. I mean, you got a call. So when we go back to the flop and I said, you know, that we're either so far ahead or we're potentially, you know, in a really bad spot or like just marginally, you know, we're never going to be like crushing here, that I think checking back just makes a lot of sense. Because he's going to have, like I said, 2s through to 8s, for example, which should fold, obviously. Even 6s, even 8s, 9s with a fucking diamond should fold here because you just absolutely smashed this board. So I like the way you played it. I liked the check back on the turn. And then the river is kind of, you know, we're not loving it, but we have a very easy call. I'm glad that you called quite quickly here, even versus pot size bet. If he shoves, you know, probably just fold. But because, you know, he should have bluffs here, I like the fact that he just called. We've under-repped our hand. And so, yeah, so we can actually fold hands like, you know, ace-king and such, because we do have some queen-x here to call with. So I'll probably be calling aces. But yeah, I like the way he played that one. So it looks like the session is coming to an end. King-9 suited we can open. Right, this hand I want to go over again because we missed it for the video. So this was a limped pot with the 9-5 off. So under the gun limps and we just check our option, obviously. But we go for a check raise here, which I don't really like. I think when we have bluffs, we might as well just pick better ones. Even 9-5 of spades is okay because we have the backdoor flush draw. King-9 works better. You know, 9-7 for sure works better. And just the thing is, I don't hate it because I think that if we're going to do this, we should barrel turn and then barrel river. I don't like the fact that you check raise. I just think we can just fold. There's just no real need to do this and then overbet. We're against a guy that's limped under the gun. Like, he's just a fun player. The river, I wouldn't hate going for a bet. An ace is a scare card when he has queen x. We also obviously block 9-7 and jack-9. So it's not the worst hand to bluff the river with, but he does have king-jack, and he's just got some random ace-x, some ace-10s, some, you know, potentially ace-queen. And then, you know, he shows up with the queen-6 suited. I just think when we just have a gut shot in a pot like that, where we've not had to put any money in the pot, we didn't need to do this. You know, there's 20 big blinds we've lost, pretty much. When we could have just lost our 1, so basically none. So I think that was definitely a misstep. That was one of the hands I disliked that I just wanted to go over again. So, Eliot, I think you played okay. Pre-flop was okay. Not many punts. The only punt really was at 9-5, which, like I said, I didn't like. And we can just pick our better bluffs. We did have a hand with the jack-4 suited where we triple-barreled. The things I do like about that was your aggression. What I don't like about it, again, was your hand selection. I think maybe you're too aggressive. You know, I always say this in the other videos. I think you want to pick your best bluffs. And your best bluffs are going to be your high-equity bluffs on flop and turn. And by the river, it's going to be hands that block, you know. So we want to be low down in our range on the river. We want to block their calling range and unblock their folding range. And for example, when we looked at that 10-8 suited, the 10-8 of spades, where we lost to the ace-7 of hearts, I think that, you know, on the river, for example, that'd make a really good bluff. But even on the turn, we could check raise bluff there because we block the nuts, we have an open-ender, and we're quite low down in our range. Just make sure you stay focused. For example, the ace-5 suited that you 3-bet once and didn't 3-bet another time with no other, you know, dynamics going on, just shows to me that, you know, you're not focused because you know it's a 3-bet in one hand, but then you don't 3-bet in the other one, and in literally the same spot, the same combo, ace-5 of spades, same positions, same, you know, different opponent, but there was nothing distinguishing each opponent from each other. So, so yeah, just try and stay focused, like I always say. That goes for everyone, guys. Make sure you stay focused when you play. Take breaks every 500 hands or something, every half an hour, even if it's just to go and walk, get up. Just keep your brain, you know, just keep focused. Other than that, I can't think of anything else to say. What other spots did we talk about? I think multi-way you definitely need to improve. But a lot of that just comes down to intuition. Honestly, a lot of that just comes down to experience and playing because they're not solved spots. So, you know, I think you want to just... You do have to be a bit more honest and a bit tighter. But I think you were too tight in that, you know, you weren't betting on boards where you had a decent-ish hand on a board that was good for your range that needed some protection and stuff, so... And other than that, it's just gonna. I think it's just gonna be just a few little things. Sizings were okay. I'd like to see maybe 2.5x from later positions, but that's partly preference, or at least the EV isn't really that high. The 4-bets and 3-bets were a little bit, you know, a little bit off in that you'd sometimes, you know, we 3-bet ace-jack off in position, blind on blind, for a really large size for no reason, and then weren't 3-betting enough. And obviously the other thing with that king-10 suited, maths. You need to know the maths. You need to understand that, you know, there are spots where you don't really want to call. You might not feel comfortable doing it, but that's part of poker. You're going to be put in some tough spots. If the math says it's a call, you need to call because it's going to make you money in the long run. And as long as you're playing within your bankroll, if you're losing in the short run, it doesn't matter because in the long run, you should be winning. Alright guys, hope you enjoyed the video. A little shorter than the others, I know. Don't forget we stream these live every Monday at 6 o'clock UK time. If you want to get your session reviewed, jump in the Discord, shoot me a message. I'll let you know how you can do it. Other than that guys, hope you enjoyed the video and see you soon.